Well, hot stuff, I just took myself out for a fantastic steak dinner at my favorite restaurant. When I was there, I was thinking about podcast episodes that I'd recorded today. It's so funny. I had gone to record this last time. I've gone to record it a couple times, and I was like, baby girl, we've got to rip the Band-Aid off and we have to say what needs to be said. And that is talking about standards in dating and dating when you are an entrepreneur. And it's so funny that I'm like, why do I have so much resistance when this used to be my job? Writing about sex and dating was my job. And business I can do all day, but dating is something that I just cannot seem to get right. I guess dating probably isn't the right word because I am great at a date. Like, could you imagine me on a date? The chaos, the fun, the excitement, the playfulness. I am good on a date. But it is getting past that dating stage into something worthwhile, meeting someone and turning it into something incredible. And, I've never had a long-term relationship. I've never been engaged. I've never been married. And I feel that I spent my entire 20s in these like 2 to 3 month relationships. Not situationships. Like, it's like we went hard and fast. And I feel like that I had so many different men or boyfriends that I dated, but for some reason it never worked out. This is something that I see a lot because most of my clients are women, and something where it's like, I obviously have my own scope that I am going to stay in, and I'm never going to bring up any time where I feel that one of my clients is being let down by the person that they're dating. So I am going to talk about this episode and me personally, and my standards in dating, and what I would accept, what I will not accept, and what I am holding out for. And I'm also going to say that I'm a woman and I date men. So when we talk about dating, use your own language and use your own discernment. Do what you want. Don't get angry at me because I just don't care. So I think this year I had this realization that this may not happen for me. And when I mean this may not happen for me, I mean love may not happen for me. I may not have the romance in this lifetime that I want. I feel like that's just such like a downer way to start an episode, but it's funny. I feel that business in a way is so predictable. It is like math. You know what to do to a point to get like an outcome. And the hardest part of business is battling your mindset, and it is showing up continually. And the hard part of dating is it takes two people to have a relationship. It takes two people that are going in the same direction or want the same things to decide that they are going to come together. And you are like, this person I feel can work into my life really quite nicely. And, business is easy because it's like you get to come in and you solve a problem. Someone is seeking a solution. You just need to offer that. But when it comes to relationships and humans, it just has gotten a bit more complex. And I don't know if this happens like when you're 30. It's like, oh my gosh, 30. I'm being generous. I'll be like 37 in 2 weeks. But I don't know if it happens then. But it's something where I think when you look at business and when you look at love, there are similarities. And I think that obviously dealing with love has made me better at business because I know like what I'm after, and I'm not afraid to hold out for that. I did have a moment today where Abby Chatfield shared this video that her boyfriend, he's released a song, and I think she's created like a little music clip to it where she's just shared like her reaction, and over the top she's put like little clips of like them being together. And I did have this moment of just feeling so upset, being like, why can't this be me? I think seeing that made me want to share this more because I feel like that social media is amazing, but when you witness other like the highlight reels of other people's life, and I'm not saying at all that her love is like a highlight reel, but I think that it is really easy for us to fall into situations and like slip beneath the standards that we have because we want something like right now. It's like we are so desperate for that feeling, and I have been there before. And you just get yourself into like some not so nice situations and dating some people that just aren't that good for you. Something I used to get told a lot in my 20s, whenever I had like guy problems or whenever it just like wouldn't work out, I would always usually get dumped by my partner. I would have people tell me, specifically some of my guy friends, that were really big in like the personal development space. They were like, you need to work on yourself. And I remember hearing that and it just like not computing because, at the time, like I'm looking back to when I had my studio, I was modeling, I had my DVD, I'm writing for magazines. And I couldn't really understand like what they meant by working on yourself. I'm like, I think I'm doing pretty good. Like you put all of the qualities of me in a man. That I think would be a pretty desirable person to date. And I think one of the problems is if you are a woman and you are dating men, a lot, and you are around probably, I'm going to call it like my age. So it's like mid to late 30s. We have been fed a lot where it's like, we need to work on ourselves. You need to work on yourself. It's like, anytime you go through some guy shit, you just have to go work on yourself, girlfriend. And it's like, if you work on yourself and you immerse yourself in your business and your hobbies, that like this man would just come out of the jungle and find you and be like, that's my woman. And I think the problem is because a lot of women were fed this, and it's something that I've spoken to like women around my age that have businesses, and it's like, we now all own our own homes. We have successful businesses. We have a really thriving, sexy and hot life. And we look at our dating pool and then we're told, oh, hold on, you now intimidate men. You're just going to have to like lower your standards a bit. And it's really interesting, it's almost like whiplash of being told to work on yourself and better yourself and get hobbies and get educated and get travel and look after yourself and be independent and you don't need a man. To then be told, well, hold on, now that you've done all of those things, the men are scared. And I really feel for anyone that has been told this because the amount of tears in my life, and when I mean tears, I could feel buckets and buckets and buckets, feeling like that I have always done what people have told me to do, and it's just never worked out. And I don't really know when this shift for me happened. As I said, I think it was around this year. I own my own home. I've got a great business. I've got great clients. I've got a sensational fucking brand. And I had this feeling of this may never happen for you and that's okay, but you have to live a really good life. When this happened, it made me raise my standards even more and made me recognize that I am not prepared to compromise on a life that I have built for myself and sacrifices that I have made for a man that is just going to come in and like get to almost benefit from my last 16 years of hard work. When I recognized that, it was an interesting thought. And I had this moment of being like, okay, cool, then I'm just going to sleep with who I want and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want and I'm just going to have fun and have a sexy life. And I'm going to, like, I know the kind of men that I want and I'm just like not prepared to drop my standard there. And it's funny because if I have any friends listening to this that are obviously like they know about my personal life, they may be eye rolling right now because there are always characters that come in and out of, and I do tend to get, because I think like my default mode is total lover girl. This is something I easily default back to. One thing I want to say is, knowing this and accepting that I may be single forever, and also witnessing so many of my clients that cry to me a lot and feel completely let down by the man that they have in their life and the fact that the woman is wearing all of the brunt within the relationship. She's looking after the kids, she's looking after the house, she's building a business, she's putting herself out there, and she has a partner that is so fucking not supportive of her. It made me realize that, and I feel obviously, again, this is a tricky conversation and why I'm like, please do not be offended. I am purely talking about my experience. I don't ever want to get myself in a position where I feel like that I have settled and then I have the hard part of breaking up with someone. I'm also really aware that it's like when you pick a partner, even if you have your own business and you do everything yourself, they are your business partner. Whether you like it or not, that person becomes your business partner. This is because so much of what happens within your personal life, when you close your laptop and you immerse yourself back in like the real world where you are around your friends, your family, your partner, if they are bringing your energy down, if they are minimizing what you're saying, if they are talking about how like your stuff is shit and who do you think you are, and there are these like little micro jabs or even like a complete lack of support, not listening, not caring, that is going to affect your business. When you open your laptop the next day to work on your business, that is going to affect your business. I remember when I had my first studio and I wanted to move locations, I was dating a guy we were set up by my beautiful makeup artist friend, Tanya. So it was her boyfriend's really good friend. So they set us up. He really didn't like anyone that earned a lot of money. And anyone that was kind of doing a lot, he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder, I think, about that. I remember when I wanted to move studios and he was like, why? It's just going to be more money. It's just going to be more stress. And at the time, like I was in like the runway of like releasing my Pilates DVD. So we were dating in like the early parts of 2012. I just had my boobs done. There was like so much stuff happening behind the scenes. Like I had the studio and we were dating and it was going really well. And then he just stopped talking to me. I really don't even know what it was, but all I remember is I'm trying to do all of this myself and recover from surgery. And he just really minimized everything that I was doing. I don't know if it's because I wanted so much for myself. And, you know, I know some of you may be like, maybe you didn't give him enough time. If you know me, you know I will always have time for you. I always have time for those who are near and dear, but I just never heard from him again. We didn't even actually ever break up. And I remember like moving into that studio. It was a lot of work. I can't remember when I moved in. I think it was like a couple months after I leased the DVD. And I remember it just felt lonely. And, you know, although I was still living with my mum at the time and I had my mum there, I remember just feeling really alone, that I really didn't have like anyone that I could like celebrate things with. And even like when I had my boyfriend, that he wasn't like, this is so cool that you're doing a DVD. This is so cool that you're like doing all of these things. You know, they kind of would see this as like a burden because they didn't want me to do too much and they didn't want me to get too big. I think where my sadness comes from with this is thinking about my past self and wondering where she could be if she had support from a partner and someone that was absolutely cheering her on. And in a way, I'm grateful that I have not had that because I feel that I have had to cultivate this myself. I think because of that, I now know what to look for. Like the little red flags are there, like, oh, I've experienced this before. I know that. I know that tactic. I know that little minimizing tactic. It does hurt me when I have beautiful clients that come to me that have partners that really just don't give a shit about what they're doing. It's not like I can ever say to a client, I would probably break up with your boyfriend. But there have been times when I've thought this before. There have been times when I cannot wait until my clients recognize their worth. They look at their life and they choose themselves and they are happy to be single because they realize how much this man is just holding them back. And again, this is not me hating men. I am sure that this happens both ways. This is my experience. And I hate that I'm putting so many fucking caveats on this, but I just don't want anyone to come for me. The thing is, when you work on yourself and this whole thing of work on yourself and a guy will come, or work on yourself and you'll be too busy enjoying life and your man will be there. The problem is that when you work on yourself and you get so exceptional, the dating pool becomes a puddle and then the dating puddle becomes a drop, because as you grow in your income level, as you know who you want to be, as you get really clear, that will naturally narrow it down. It's like when I was in my 20s and my criteria was, I just want a sexy guy. It's like, we're in a beach town. We're in Newcastle. Do you know how many hot men are out there? There are so many. And then it's like when I started my business, oh, I want a bit of a go-getter. Oh, okay, cool. What does that look like? Oh, I want this. And it's like, as I started dating, the pool started to get smaller. Now, obviously within that, there's been a shift with like preference versus standards. So back in the day, it's like, if you weren't above 6 foot tall, I didn't want to date you. I'm tall. I wanted a tall guy. Now, I don't really worry about that too much. I don't care. But I do have my standards worked out. And this is something where if you are dating, you need to have your standards. You have to have these worked out. And this is where dating becomes it becomes harder because you realize that you're going to have less options, but it becomes easier because your non-negotiables, you immediately know. So for me, like, I need someone that wants to have a good life. I want someone that is appreciative of having a sexy life. He does not need to be a business owner, but he needs to have drive in whatever he does. I don't want someone where I have to financially support them. That is just an absolute non-negotiable for me. My other one is I will not date someone that I do not enjoy having sex with. I want to have the best mind-blowing sex in my life with this person. If it's ho-hum, I don't care. I have had friends that completely disagree with me on this, and they're like, there are more qualities than that. But for me, I don't want to go around fucking my friends. I don't want an open relationship. I want a guy that knows how to fuck. And I also am not in a mentorship program. So it's like, I'm happy to communicate what I want, but I am not going to like mentor you through this. I don't have time for that. Work it out. Take a course. Watch a fucking YouTube channel. There are so many people out there. There is going to be someone out there that has a course on how to fuck. Buy it, learn it, come back to me, okay? So that's a non-negotiable. I probably don't want children. And I say probably because I don't really think that I've ever had safety within a relationship where I ever would want to bring a child into that or could see myself co-parenting that person with the rest of my life. It's like you witness like a not so great side of them. And it's like, am I prepared to have that in the rest of my life forever as a child of divorce? No, I'm really not. I feel anyway like I have second wife energy, so that's okay. But, you know, I have that worked out. Now, something as well with my standards is I used to think that this was like really bullshit. I would get people to be like, oh, you're so intimidating. Like you must be so intimidating to men. And I thought that that was crap. I then changed my mind when I remembered that a lot of people probably don't own what they want and they are not owning their life. They aren't like fully here and being themselves. It's like when we are kind of like wearing a mask of like what we think that we should be doing and who we think that we should be in life and in business and for everyone else. I do think sometimes it can be a bit disorientating when someone meets someone and they're like, I know exactly who the fuck I am and I know what I want and I'm not afraid to communicate that. And I think sometimes it's like, especially with like, and I'm comparing this to like my past self, it was like, she very much was like performative for men. It's like, I will be the kind of woman that you want me to be. And I would kind of like mold myself into what I thought that they wanted instead of being myself. One thing that I have started to realize, and I think this is where my co-working space has been amazing, also for maybe giving men more of a chance. Now, where this is hard in dating is it's like, I don't want to like overly invest in someone and give them chances if it's like red flags or if it's a bit weird. But it's been interesting that there have been some men that I've met in my co-working space that I have thought have been so sexy. And I'm like, oh, I like them. Oh, they're a go-getter. Oh, they're this. Oh, they're that. And then over time, I'm like, oh my God, I can't stand them. Like they're beautiful, but they annoy the shit out of me. Or they're rude. Or they're mean. There's just something about them I don't like. And then there are other people and I'm like, oh, I really like them. Like he is a good solid guy. He is a genuine man. And there was someone in my co-working space. I didn't really find him attractive. Everyone thought that he was attractive. And I'm like, oh, he's like, I don't know. He's all right. Like I'm pulling a face right now. I wasn't that into him. But when he started to do things for me, and obviously as like a huge acts of service person, I was like, oh, I like him. It's something where I've recognized within myself that it's like maybe dating apps are probably not the best. Now I know how I like to like meet and vet men. And knowing this, it's like, okay, it's going to be really hard for me to like put myself on a dating app, have a good date, and then have it go from there. Like I feel like the likelihood of, I don't even want to say like having chemistry, but having it worked out enough where I know that I want to see this person again, I think that it's a bit too much pressure. So because of that, I've realized that I need to put myself out there more where I'm seeing people more regularly and I have like multiple chances to meet someone. And what I mean by that, not like multiple chances to meet someone as in multiple men, but it's like meeting the same person a few times so I get a sense of what they're like. So for this reason, I have had a feeling that I would always meet someone out and about, like a regular in a cafe, or someone in my co-working space or someone that I would meet at an event. And it's like, it's this kind of slow burn where I get to know the person instead of having to make like an immediate decision. Because you think about it this way, when we look at business and we are interested in working with someone, we get to consume their content. Although that person may be like, oh, this person may want to work with me, dream client, there's not really this pressure of them being like, well, if we can't make it work, unfollow me, or them blocking us. It's like you get to kind of ease into the idea of working with someone without the pressure of you then, like every time you look at their Instagram or you listen to a podcast or you open an email, like establishing that relationship to the next level of, I want to keep seeing this person. It's like, you may decide I'm done. We don't align anymore. I'm going to unsubscribe. I'm going to unfollow. But obviously, if you are dating the person, you are not going to give these people multiple chances because it's like you only have so much energy. And for me, it's like I know I'm a catch. I know the value that I'm going to add to someone's life. I'm going to make it infinitely fucking better. And I'm also not really prepared to like keep going on dates if I'm like not really sure about it and I'm not really having a great time. Just because at the end of the day, I know my fucking energy is worth so much more than that. So I say this because if you are using apps, but you feel like that you need to get to know someone, and that's really hard to do in that setting, it could be doing what I'm doing and just really reconsidering like where you're meeting people. And I've thought about this. I was like, do I go and do like some random niche interest? Like I was going to go in bonsai. I was like, what do I feel genuinely interested in? What do I like? I'm like, well, I like cheese. I like champagne. I was like, I could go and do like a champagne tour. I like antiquing and expensive furniture and design. I like coffee. And when I thought about that, it's like, I think it's about going out and meeting people in that setting and not having this need for dating to work. Because you think about it, it's like if we were to think about this in a business setting, the pressure, people would be having nervous breakdowns. But it's like for some reason in dating, we put all of this pressure on ourselves to get this right. I do have a funny story though. I went on a date with a guy that has a business near me, and I have no idea how we kind of met, but I've known him for a while. We went on a date and nothing really happened from it, but it was in the middle of the pandemic, which was all like a bit of a weird time. And anyway, there's been some flirty stuff, but we tend to argue a bit. But I don't know, I kind of like sometimes arguing. We were talking recently and I asked, I was like, oh, you seeing anyone? And he's like, no, why? Are you? And I'm like, no. And he's like, why do you want to know? I'm like, I'm just making conversation. I can't remember what he said, but he said something and I was like, look, I'm not really interested in any guy that's not interested in me. But it ended up him basically saying that he's attracted to me, but he could never date me because I'm too much of a capitalist. And this was so funny to hear. Why this was so funny to hear is I'm like, you have a business that supplies like some of the richest people in Melbourne. Business where, yes, I charge good money and yes, I love money, but so much of what I do is actually free or it is low cost. Like the amount of free energy expenditure that goes out of my brain into the world is astronomical. So the fact that someone could then say, you are such a capitalist, this is why I don't really want to date you. It was interesting for me to hear. And I think what was also interesting with this is, and something that if you are a woman in business that you have to deal with, it's like this double standard that comes with dating. It's like we should want to like be the martyr where it's like money isn't everything. Let me like overly extend myself. Let me like give to everyone at the expense of myself. I fucking hate that attitude. I don't also like when people try to put me in a box, which is why when men say to me, oh, I can't wait to be a dad. And I'm like, oh, I love a stay-at-home dad. And they can look a bit discombobulated. And I'm like, oh, if you want kids, like I would assume you'd want to stay at home with them. The amount of times they've looked at me and they're like, oh no, I would want my wife to do that. And I'd be like, oh, I could do that if the man was paying me like $1 million. And then I would stay at home and I could pay someone to run my business and I could put money in super and I can look after my life. And then they look like that's fucking insane. And I'm like, you know what's fucking insane? A woman putting her whole body through that, putting parts of her life on pause where it doesn't even matter if you have equal 50-50 split of everything. The emotional weight is still going to go on the woman to remember things. And even if you are out and about without your children, a woman is going to get asked very different questions than a man. Where are your kids? Who is minding your kids? No one asks a man that. So like with all of this as well, you are probably going to, not the right term, but you are going to go through people quicker. You are probably going to date more people because the problem is when you have grown yourself and you have worked on yourself and you have an exceptional business, the pool gets smaller, the standards get higher, but the amount of people that are going to kind of be in a similar boat, and I'm not saying it's like if you have a business, you need to be with a business owner, but the pool is smaller. And you need to be okay with that. And you never want to get to a point where you are lowering your standards out of loneliness, which is why my whole idea about casual sex changed this year. I'm funny with this where I have to obviously have like safe people to me. I have to know them. I have to trust them. But I never want to get into a relationship because I'm denying myself like sex and intimacy and connection. And then I end up dating this guy because all I wanted was just cuddles. Which is why now I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe we need to explore how this is going to look. And I say this because you cannot meet, I wrote this here, you cannot meet the love of your life if you are energetically tied to someone else. I've had to learn this the hard way. The amount of times I've got myself into a situation and then I'm like crying and I feel like I can't put myself out there because I'm getting over someone that I knew was bad for me. And like, imagine if my partner was looking for me then. If he was single then and he was out there and I've got myself in this really awful fucking situation. Now I'm having to take myself off the market, put myself in like a little bubble of protection because I'm dealing with dating someone that I knew probably like wasn't the best for me. And, you know, looking back at so many of the men that I've dated, I don't think that we ever would have gone past the first date if it was who I was now. And that's on growth. And I have to remind myself this all the time where it's like, you're single because you have done the work to know who you are and to know who you want and to know the life that you want and be okay with like waiting out for that. It's interesting looking back at like some of my worst relationships. I never would have dated them again. And I don't have regrets because I think that I never would have had this realization if I hadn't gone through that. But the cool thing is now at 37, I have that insight that I can take into the rest of my life. This is where if you are single and you are beating yourself up and you feel like that your standards are too high, you are in such a good position, especially if you are like not entangled. You're not entangled with anyone. You're not in some fucked situationship. Like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. I read something the other day where people have added this stage between like dating and being boyfriend and girlfriend where now they're exclusive, but they're not together. And I'm like, if a man said that to me, I would laugh in his face and I would be like, okay, if you are that afraid of commitment and breaking up, I don't want a part of this. Because it's interesting, but I think sometimes people are so worried about endings and I don't really know why. I don't know if it's because they're worried that then there's not going to be something else out there. I don't know if it's that they feel that this person validates part of themselves that they can't do themselves. And it's like, oh, I've got a partner, so I must be okay. People see I have a partner. Like, I really don't know. But you're in such a good position. I can't even remember where I was going there, but you're in such a good position. So again, I feel like that I have gotten so much sharper in knowing what I want and being able to leave situations. And although I still feel like sometimes because I am a lover girl, it does take me a while to get over someone. There have been men from my past where it feels like it's taken me years to get over them and to like forget them and move forward. And now it happens so much quicker. And I think because I have made this distinction and seeing things in business and knowing that that person is going to affect my business. My business is my number one love in life. Am I prepared to bring someone in that is going to fuck that up or make me play small or make me do terrible decisions or not support me? Absolutely not. So I want you to remember that. Although this person is not your business partner, they are your partner and that is going to affect your business. Something that I do believe though in relationships is you of course need to have polarity. I would never want to date me. If I met me as a man, actually, and I meet me as a man quite a lot, and they're like beautiful gay men, and I love them, but would I want to be married to one of them? Probably. But you need in relationships polarity. I do believe that that makes a relationship, you know, I would love some beautiful, grounded man. I don't want a guy who needs to be the center of attention because that is me. It's like I'm the talent in the relationship. So I do think that there needs to be polarity. When it comes to who I go to for dating advice, I don't really want to say it's dating advice, but I do love Margarita Nazarenko, Shira Seven, The Wizard Liz, and Susan Winter. She's on YouTube. And anytime that I kind of forget myself and I lose myself and I feel like that it's almost like I've just reached out and I can feel a relationship and then it's just like ripped away from me. And I feel myself wanting to slip and I like look in the mirror and I'm like, how the fuck can't you make it work? Is it because you need to get hotter? Is it that you're too much? Are you too loud? Whatever it is. I go back to these people and I love them. I love them so much. Some of you will hate them. I know that Shira's advice online, some people they just don't like her, but I think she's funny. And I think what's really good is the amount of people, because I love to read the comments, that have really changed what they are willing to accept. Like the amount of women that will just dig themselves into the fucking ground. They'll work themselves into the ground all to get a man. And Sheer is like, that's fucking stupid. Like, just don't do that. Something that I think about, although that I'm like, I pretty much started the episode being like, I could be single forever and I'm okay with that. Something that's really nice about life is that I could wake up tomorrow and go and have breakfast and walk up the street to get a coffee and meet someone. Whatever you have been through in life does not mean that your future will be like that. And we never know when life will change for us. I think love is different because there is an element of luck. There is an element of right place, right time. There is an element of both people have to be aligned with what they want and open and willing to give something a go. Business is a bit easier. Business is a lot easier. What the fuck am I talking about? It's not. I always think about that whenever I'm feeling upset, and it still happens. I get upset all the time. I think back to some of the men that I've dated that, you know, the relationship was not that great. It ended. But I look back to when I woke up that morning, did I know that I was going to meet someone that I would date? Did I know that I was going to meet someone that was going to be really important in my life? And the answer is no, I didn't. And the answer is that the same thing could happen to me tomorrow. Like I just don't know. All I know is I am not prepared to kind of like put my life on pause. This is something I used to do all the time. I would put my life on pause because I wanted to experience things with a partner. What I have done now is I have really built a beautiful life for myself. It's funny when I'm like, I love eating out. I love doing this. I love doing that. And it's so funny that guys are like, oh, you're so high maintenance. And I'm like, but is this high maintenance if this for me is just like an average day? It's funny because now it's like I don't really have this expectation that men are going to do anything for me because I do it for me. But because I do it for me, I know how easy it is and how me wanting things isn't really asking for a lot. And I think that that is something really nice is when you can give things to yourself, you will realize that what you actually are asking for, it's not as big as what you thought that it was. So anyway, I don't really know if we have a natural conclusion for this podcast. And I don't really know if this has helped. But all I know is that dating is hard. And I know that living life is hard. And sometimes it is hard when you are solo. It's hard when every bill is on you. It's hard when you feel like that everyone is in a relationship or they've settled down, they've met someone, they're doing all of these things. You know, as I said, I don't think I want children. I could only imagine how challenging that's going to feel if you want kids and you just feel like that this isn't happening for you. I don't really have anything to end with saying except just make sure that you live like a really amazing life, that you create an amazing life and you don't wait for someone. Because for me, I can look back at how much I was waiting for life to begin, forgetting that it was like happening. It was happening right now. And although that it was unfortunate that there was not someone there to like celebrate my wins and support me and like talk about my day and like fucking remember to put food in the fridge and do all of these things when I'm in the middle of a launch. I had to learn how to do that myself. And I think that when it gets to a point and I meet someone and they can do that, the amount of appreciation that I will have for this person, but also a deep knowing that I 100% deserve this. I 100% deserve this. So hot stuff. I love this. I love you. What do I love you more than? I love you more than I'm going to do something really bad. I'm about to have a third Diet Coke. Don't tell anyone. I've never done that before. But I had a sneaky little one this afternoon and then I had one at dinner and I've got one more in the fridge and I really want it. In my defense, these are the little ones. Like they're a smaller can. But that's a lot of soda in a day for someone that doesn't really drink soda. That's okay. We live and we learn. It's like a holiday, right? It's a holiday. It's a fucking staycation. Have the soda. I'm not really drinking alcohol at the moment. I ended up getting like a little complimentary rosé down at the restaurant. I had like a couple sips and I was like, yeah, this is okay, but I could kind of like pass it up. So that's nice. It's nice to be in that situation. I did go out to dinner before though, and I did get a free dessert, and that was absolutely wonderful. It was discounted. I was like, well, I don't think this bill is right. And they're like, no. You've been here like 3 nights in a row. It's our treat. And I was like, yeah, I have been here 3 nights in a row, and I will take that present. So that was nice. I love you more than that. I love you more than how good I feel. I feel really good. I feel actually like this podcast is going to impact someone that needs to hear it. Please don't be mad at me. Although that I'm quite a direct person at times, I think the worst thing in the world, I would never want to like upset or hurt someone. There's never any malice in what I do, but I'm hoping that it finds people that it needs to find. So I love you more than that. I love you more than my robe, my silk velvet robe. Isn't it gorgeous? I do love a robe. I love a robe number. I would like to buy another one of these, but it was a little bit pricey. Maybe if we have like a good month this month, I'll buy one for my birthday, but otherwise it's just going to stay on the wish list for a while. So I love you more than that. Isn't it? Oh my God, isn't it beautiful? My initial goal for the podcast was to wear like luxury sleepwear and do it in bed and have like a segment with guests called In Bed with the Babe. And I think I love doing these staycations so much. And I just love that I'm here. Like, I feel like I've actualized that thing that I wanted for myself. I did that all myself. And I remember at the time talking about this with a guy that I was dating. He was in an open relationship, and let me tell you, I can never fucking do that to myself again. I really fell for him. Oh my God, he was gorgeous. He was a music producer. We were kind of dating in like lockdown. We had like our second date, I think when we went into lockdown, and we could have like our like whatever person it was. And our next date was like 8 hours, and we just sat on my couch, just like talking for ages. And he had great taste, and he loved classic cars, and he was just really smart and interesting. And we're talking about my podcast that didn't exist then. And I was like, I want to do it in the hot tub. And he's like, I feel like that may be a bit impossible with the sound of the bubbles, but we could probably do something else. And I remember he was very supportive of me. And I think about him a lot. He was a gorgeous man. I love you more than that. And I love you more than the nice, warm, and beautiful shower that I'm about to have. How good is showering? You know why it's so good? Because my bathroom at home absolutely needs renovating. And I'm in a beautiful hotel bathroom with a nice exhaust and big white fluffy towels and really nice lighting. And it is lush and it's warm in here and it's beautiful. So I'm going to soak up my last night at my little staycation. Hot stuff. I love this. If this episode, if you've liked this is obviously a bit more personal life than it is business. Come let me know on Instagram. If you hate it, maybe let me know. Or maybe don't. I don't even know anymore. Anyway, hot stuff. I'll talk to you later. Mwah.